Chapter 87. Zhengtian. The drought year was a great disaster, and the people were suffering greatly, so the ancient mansion opened the barn and released the grain as a great act of kindness. Invoking the sincere gratitude of countless victims, a stream of grateful thoughts converged into a river towards the direction of the ancient mansion. Ancient mansion, sky-rushing tower. In the midst of Guhai's seclusion, everyone and everything was blocked outside the tower, with Gu Qin, Shangguan Trace, and Chen Chongchen sitting outside the pushing sky tower, guarding Guhai. Rumble. A sound of gold and stone clashing came from within the sky-rushing tower. This seems like the sound of bones clashing. What cultivation level is this breakthrough for my lord? Chen Chongchen said blankly. Shangguan Trace frowned slightly and shook his head, clearly not sure either. Inside the tower, Guhai sat cross-legged. The bones around his body emitted a loud clashing sound. In the past, in the Dinglong sect, in the 29 heaven and earth vertical world, the absolute life blade absorbed the power of the endless dragon veins, feeding back to Guhai a large amount of power to enhance the bones, only to reach the late stage, to the bottleneck, countless piles of them, unable to qualitatively change. At this moment, borrowing the rolling merit and virtue to gather a large amount of qi on his body, this bottleneck should be broken, and the bones underwent a metamorphosis. Rumble. Huge noises shook within Guhai's body. 3 whole hours later. Boom. It was only with a loud bang that the bones within Guhai's body stopped colliding and instead emitted a clicking sound, and it took another hour before it slowly calmed down. Guhai opened his eyes, which were sweating profusely at the moment, and stretched out his right palm. Bare. Under the urging of his will, a piece of bone slowly stabbed out from his palm. After the metamorphosis, the bone was still silver white, but this one bone, however, was glowing with a metallic luster, dense as if it was silver, but it was countless times tougher than silver, a silver-like metallic bone. Turning over his hand, Guhai took out a long sword. There, the silver skeleton pierced through the long sword very easily, incomparably sharp. Is this considered a ray breakthrough in external power? Guhai faintly sighed for a moment. Whew! Under the urging of his will, the skeleton slowly shrunk back and was slowly incorporated into his body once again, while the skin that had been poked open was restored in a twinkling of an eye. Without hesitation, Guhai closed his eyes once again and felt the Zhengtian. In addition to the external breakthrough, the Zhengtian true qi also seemed to have reached an extreme level and was about to break through. Around the body, the feeling of relief there, still in the filling, the number of qi in the body, slowly in Guhai body surfaced to form a golden halo in general. Closing his eyes, his mind sank into the Zhengtian. Zhengtian was filled with countless true qi, dragon-shaped true qi circling the cyclone, constantly cohesion true yuan. But now 9 fist-sized true yuan ring into a circle, as if mutually exclusive general. Unable to go any further, Ang. The dragon-shaped true qi let out a roar. The true dragon innate skill had been catalyst to the extreme. The power of the cyclone could only be so great in general. Who? Steeply, a golden energy surged into the Zhengtian. The golden energy was not a side object, but the merit from the 4 directions of the world, the golden qi count, slowly surging into the 9 fist-sized true essence. Buzz. The 9 true elements slowly merged, slowly fusing into one within the shroud of qi. Boom. As the 9 true elements fused, a loud bang was emitted, and a powerful force rushed straight from the Zhengtian to the surface of the body. Boom. Guhai's body let out a heavy sound as a steep stream of air bulged out. In the Zhengtian, a watermelon-sized sphere of liquid purple true essence slowly rotated, with a cyclone spinning above it, as if it was trying to condense all the true qi in his body into this true essence sphere. But it seemed to have reached its limit, and his true essence couldn't increase by a single point. The true qi walked between the meridians, half chi, half mist, to a critical point like buzz. Gu Hai's eyes opened, looked at his clasped hands, and took a deep breath. 10th level of the innate realm. The innate realm is complete. Can we impact the Jindan realm? The chi count was still increasing in a steady stream. Gu Hai now was very satisfied with his current state. Chi count. When I was in the Haoshan realm, if I had set up my state earlier to get the help of QI count, perhaps I wouldn't have needed to exert so much effort to achieve innate in the first place, Gu Hai said thoughtfully. Then, Gu Hai faintly laughed bitterly. That said, but at that time, the countries were held by the major clans, so with my own strength at that time, I was unable to establish a country at all. Taking a deep breath, Gu Hai slowly got up with an indescribable relief throughout his body. Slowly, Gu Hai walked to the window of the sky rushing tower. Righteous Father, you made a breakthrough, Gu Qin said with delight. Gu Hai smiled and nodded. Gaining chi, Gu Hai was certain of an idea that starting a nation was the right thing to do. Another 10 days had passed. During this time, the chi was constantly converging. Gu Hai's body surface all seemed to have a hint of golden light in the haze, making it look as if he was a heavenly god. Originally an extremely comfortable thing, at this moment, Gu Hai was once again frowning. Because of this chi number in the body, although comfortable, but also in the dissipation, with the passage of time, those who temporarily cannot use the chi number will slowly dissipate. In this way, it caused a great waste in general. It's necessary to figure out how the chi is accumulated and stored, otherwise, a large amount of chi is wasted, and when it's needed, it's not enough, Gu Hai pondered. After sitting in the study for a while, Shangwen Trace sought an audience. My lord, we found the Divine Mechanism Battalion disciples. However, Shangwen Trace looked at Gu Hai with a bitter smile. Oh, Gu Hai was puzzled. It seems like they suffered a great battle. There's blood all over the place, and we also found a corpse of a Divine Machine Battalion disciple, Shangwen Scar said with a bitter smile. As he said that, 2 villains carried a stretcher, with the body of an armor-clad Shenji Battalion disciple lying on it. Gu Hai faintly inspected it, killed in one blow, pierced through the heart. Shangwen Trace nodded. Yes, this was sent flying out and fell into a hidden grass bush before leaving the body behind. I guessed that some of the other Divine Machine Battalion disciples died as well, but the bodies were all gone, and there are no footprints of departure at all. Oh, Gu Hai frowned slightly. Righteous Father, Gu Qin, however, ran into the house from outside in a panic. Gu Hai looked over in confusion. Righteous Father, there is a man outside, who came with 1,000 heads, saying that he had beheaded 1,000 disciples of the Divine Mechanism Battalion led by Gao Liu, Sheng, and said that he wanted to give them to rightful father. Gu Qin frowned. After all, it was too weird, coming to deliver heads. Gu Hai and Shangwen Trace glanced at each other. Grand Duke, what kind of people have come? Shangwen Trace was surprised. Not sure, a white-haired old man with thinning hair. He was quite polite to us. 1,000 heads, packed in 10 big boxes. I don't know how they were transported. Gu Qin frowned. Go and take a look. Gu Hai frowned. Shangwen Scar and Gu Qin followed closely behind. Soon, Gu Hai arrived outside the ancient mansion's grand formation. My lord. The surrounding crowd of people from the ancient mansion respectfully bowed to Gu Hai. Everyone surrounded one part of the square. 10 huge wooden boxes were placed on top of the square. Their mouths were wide open, and each contained 100 bloody heads. Steeply, Gu Hai saw a familiar face. One of the heads that had been accompanying Li Haoran in the past. This was Gao Yu Sheng. In front of the 10 large boxes, there stood a wide-robed old man with a much bald, slightly bulging head, white hair on his temples, and a red face. Zhengtian, meet Magu. The white-haired old man smiled slightly. Oh, I've met Mr. Yao. I don't know what is the meaning of these 10 boxes of heads, Gu Hai said doubtfully. These 1,000 people are the disciples of the Divine Mechanism Battalion, who lobbied the 4 directions of powerhouses to come and assassinate Mr. Gu. And they coincidentally bumped into the old man's head, so the old man settled all of them in order to give Mr. Gu a gift of meeting, Yao Zhengtian said with a faint smile. Oh, Gu Hai's eyes narrowed slightly. Mr. Gu don't need to be suspicious. They dealt with Mr. Gu, and likewise have a grudge against old Immortal. So this is just a way to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, Yao Zhengtian laughed. Gu Hai was slightly surprised. This person was honest. He didn't completely push it as a gift, but incidentally, Mr. Yao, I have never met with Mr. Yao. I don't know who Mr. Yao is, Gu Hai said doubtfully. Mo Gu should know me, Yao Zhengtian laughed. Oh, in the past years, I brought 3,000 subordinates to the Dafengang. I think many people have heard of me. Only later encountered the Divine Mechanism Battalion Lord Li Haoran. I fought with him. And at that time I had no choice but to retreat to the sea. Unfortunately, my 3,000 subordinates were killed by the Divine Mechanism Battalion. And my hatred with the Divine Mechanism Battalion, from this, I came to have a feud with the Divine Mechanism Battalion, Yao Zhengtian laughed. Gu Hai's pupils abruptly shrunk. You're that sea beast Bosha. Back when Gu Hai was imprisoned in the Dafengang, the sea beast Bosha landed with 3,000 sea demons, triggered the heavenly phase, and ultimately snatched the earth dragon vein. It was none other than old me, Yao Zhengtian said with a faint smile. Shenji Battalion disciples ate my subordinates 3,000. This 1,000 Shenji Battalion disciples, naturally, was also eaten by me. Only left ahead to Mr. Gu. I hope to forgive you, this time to come. But there is something to ask for. I hope that I have not disturbed Mo Gu. Yao Zhengtian laughed. Gu Hai's eyes shifted for a while, nodded and said, Mr. Yao came all the way here. Inside please. Many thanks, Mr. Gu. Yao Zhengtian nodded. Yao Zhengtian followed Gu Hai as he slowly stepped into the ancient mansion shrouded by a large formation, leaving behind a group of subordinates who were stunned for a moment at this moment. Sea Beast, Overlord, did I hear it right? It's actually him, a villain exclaimed. Your lordship is getting more and more powerful. The Sea Beast, Overlord, comes and has to beg with courtesy. Yao Zhengtian, I said how that name was so familiar at first. So it's the Overlord. The crowd of villains marveled and were proud. His lordship's face was his own face. Thousand Island Sea, the mighty sea beast Boshita, was actually so polite to His Excellency. Gu Hai guided Yao Zhengtian to a hall, accompanied by Gu Qin, Shangwen Scar, and Chen Trongchen. Me Yao, please. Gu Hai gestured Yao Zhengtian to sit down. Many thanks. Yao Zhengtian was also quite polite. Gu Qin went forward and poured a cup of tea for the 2 of them. Mr. Yao, you came to my place. It wouldn't be for the dragon vein, right? Gu Hai said doubtfully. Yao Zhengtian shook his head and said, the old man has already seen through that dragon vein. It is not something I can get my hands on. The old man of chess watching has set up a game. Touching it will kill him, so Mo Gu doesn't have to worry about it. I didn't come here for this reason. This time there is indeed something to ask for Mr. Gu.